Have you ever given your all to a family only to be rejected? I spent 5 years loving, caring, and trying to become a part of them. But on Christmas Eve, just when I thought I had finally found my place in this family, my husband's daughter looked me straight in the eye and coldly said, "You're not my mother. Get out of here." I turned to my husband, hoping he would say something, but he just let out a sigh. And at that moment, I knew there was nothing left to hold on to. It's been almost a year, but those words still haunt me. I'm Mia, and I'm 30 years old. I work at a small bookstore. I love the peace found in the pages of a book and the quiet afternoons with a cup of tea. And I once thought I could see that same peace in a new family with Matthew and his daughter, Lily. I spent 5 years nurturing and trying to join this family. But loving a man with a child is no fairy tale. There was no magic. Lily didn't hate me, but never saw me as family. I was always just an outsider, trying to squeeze into a world that had already been shaped without me. Matthew said love takes time. I believed that until that fateful Christmas Eve a year ago. I had prepared everything, Lily's favorite dishes, the scent of warm apple pie filling the air, a memory I wanted to build with her. I hung 3 new Christmas stockings, Matthew, Lily, and me. I thought that this time I truly belonged. But then, one sentence shattered everything. During dinner, Lily was glued to her phone. I gently reminded her, "Can you put your phone away? This is a family dinner." She paused and lifted her eyes to me. A flicker of irritation flashed across her face before she set the phone down, folding her arms. "Family?" She scoffed. "You think this is a family?" I froze. Matthew kept eating as if he hadn't heard a thing. "Lily, I just want, you're not my mother." Her voice was sharp, cutting like a blade, her small hands gripping the table's edge. "Get out of here." She didn't need to shout. Every word still tore through my chest. I looked at her, then turned to Matthew, hoping he would say something. He set his fork down and sighed. "Lily's just confused, Mia." Confused? A cold chill ran through me. No, this wasn't confusion. This was rejection. I had tried for so long, but in the end, I was still just a stranger. Lily didn't see me as her mother. And Matthew, the man I loved, had never genuinely stood by my side. I clenched my hands, a bitter sting rising in my throat. After Matthew's words, I said nothing. I stood up, walked to my room, and closed my door. No one followed. I sat on the bed, staring blankly at the ceiling, my mind in chaos. A suffocating feeling crept in as if someone was squeezing my chest, making it hard to breathe. I don't remember how long I cried. I thought about everything I had done, the early mornings making breakfast for Lily, the late nights helping her with homework, the countless times I swallowed my pride when she kept her distance. I had done everything to be accepted, to prove that I loved her as my own. Yet, with just one sentence, she erased it all. I waited. I hoped Lily would knock on my door after a while and say she had only spoken out of anger. Matthew would come in, hold me, and tell me I wasn't alone. But no one came. No knocking. No apology. I sat in the darkness, listening to the sounds drifting from downstairs, the clinking of dishes, the TV, and Lily's giggles as she watched something on her phone. As if nothing had happened. As if I never existed. A bitter feeling rose inside me. I wiped my tears, took a deep breath, and stood up. Reaching for my car keys, I knew I needed to leave. As I stepped down the stairs, I heard Matthew's voice from the living room. "Where are you going?" I froze, turning to look at him. His voice was calm, no worry, no regret, as if my leaving was nothing more than a trivial moment, not worth his concern. I tightened my grip on the keys and let out a bitter smile. "Getting lost. Just like your daughter wanted." I didn't wait for his reaction. I opened the door and walked out. The night air was sharp, freezing against my skin. I took a deep breath and got into the car. Matthew called after me, but his voice was already fading. I didn't care anymore. I turned the key, the engine roared to life, and I sped away from that house. No looking back. No regrets. Only an empty ache clinging to me, like a shadow I could never shake off. I had no idea where I was going. I only knew I had to get out of there immediately. The car door slammed shut, the sound slicing through the silent night with finality. I pressed the gas pedal, tires screeching against the wet pavement. Streetlights flashed past like fragments of shattered memories. Every dinner I had cooked, every gift I had carefully chosen, every moment I had patiently waited for Lily to let me in. And yet, with just one sentence, she erased it all. "You're not my mother. Can you get out of here?" The words cut through me like a blade, leaving a wound too deep to bleed yet agonizingly raw. I tightened my grip on the steering wheel, my vision blurred with tears. I drove aimlessly, my mind blank, my only instinct to escape from that house, from the man who had stood by and let me be torn apart. I didn't know how long I had been driving when I finally realized where I was. Rachel's apartment. I stepped out of the car, my legs trembling as I approached the door. I didn't call. I didn't text. I stood there, hesitating momentarily, before I lifted my hand and knocked. It didn't take long for the door to open. Rachel's blue eyes immediately filled with concern. "Mia? Oh my God, what happened?" I didn't answer. I just stood there, trying to keep my lips from trembling and failing. Rachel didn't ask again. She pulled me inside and closed the door behind me. She wrapped a blanket around my shoulders like I had just returned from a raging snowstorm. She handed me a cup of hot tea as if it could somehow mend the gaping wounds inside me. "Stay as long as you need, Mia. Don't worry about anything." I didn't respond. I sat on the couch, my mind hollow and numb. My phone lay face down on the table, its screen dark. No messages. No missed calls. No one asked where I was. No one was wondering if I was safe. I had left, and their world continued as if I had never existed. I closed my eyes, desperately searching for some semblance of peace. But all I saw was Lily's cold gaze, and Matthew, the man I loved, silently sat there. I had spent 5 years loving, nurturing, and trying. And in the end, I was nothing but an outsider. A replacement they never truly needed. And I wondered, just how foolish had I been to believe I could build a family from someone else's broken pieces? The following day, I woke up late to a tranquil apartment. I blinked, looking around, but Rachel was nowhere to be seen. A soft, warm blanket had been carefully draped over me. Its lingering warmth made me want to sink deeper into it as if I could hide from reality a little longer. My phone screen lit up with a message. "Had some things to take care of this morning. Get some rest, don't overthink too much. And don't forget to eat breakfast." I glanced around and saw a piece of toast and a glass of orange juice on the table. It was a small gesture, yet it made me want to cry. It turns out someone still cared about me. As I took another bite of toast, my phone screen lit up with a message. It was Matthew. Not a single call. Not a single message since last night. He hadn't cared where I went or whether I was safe. And even now, I only got a text, not a call. I opened it. "You shouldn't be upset with Lily. She's just going through a tough phase. Try to understand her." I clenched my phone, a slow burning anger rising in my chest. I had been gone all night. No one had looked for me. No one had worried. And now Matthew only cared about why I couldn't just endure a little longer. A bitter laugh escaped my lips. He didn't ask where I was. No apology. Not even the slightest concern. I should be more understanding. Understanding what? Being pushed aside? Being erased from this family as if I never existed? Being abandoned by the one person I had expected to stand up for me? I took a deep breath, forcing down the anger boiling inside me. Then, I tossed my phone into my bag, got up, walked to my car, and drove straight home. I had made my decision. I wasn't going back to apologize or to beg for anything. I was returning to pack my things, to close the final chapter of my life I had spent the last 5 years trying to build. As I stepped into the house, an unfamiliar feeling washed over me. Everything was the same. The curtains I had picked out, the couch where Matthew and I used to sit and watch movies, the faint scent of the scented candle I always burned. But somehow it felt different. Too quiet. Too empty. I took a deep breath, reminding myself I was only here to pack my things. I wouldn't overthink. I wouldn't let myself waver. But as I walked past the living room, I froze. My eyes locked onto the photo cabinet, the one that once held the memories I had fought to build. A strange feeling crept into my chest, pulling me closer. And then I saw it. Every single photo of me was gone. My heart pounded as I scanned the room, searching for any trace of my existence. There is no picture of me and Lily laughing while baking together. There is no framed photo from our first picnic. Nothing, as if I had never lived here, as if I had never existed. But on the table, a new photo had taken my place. Amanda, Lily's biological mother, the woman who had been absent for over a decade. Now, she was smiling brightly in the frame, sitting beside Lily. It was like nothing had ever happened, as I had never been a part of their lives. A sharp pain tightened in my chest. With trembling hands, I picked up my phone, snapped a photo of the frame, and opened my chat with Matthew. I typed each word carefully, my message clear and final. I understand now. If this is the family you and Lily want, I don't need to be here anymore. I hit send. 1 minute passed. No response. The house remained silent as if I had never existed. I placed my house keys on the table, the clink of metal against wood echoing in the emptiness. One last time, I looked at the photo. A deep, bitter resignation settled in my heart. And this time, I indeed left. I drove, eyes fixed on the road ahead, but my mind was completely blank. My heart felt heavy, my chest tightening with the weight of everything I had just experienced in that house, the place I once believed was my family. My hands gripped the steering wheel, but the emptiness inside me was far more suffocating than any physical pain. Suddenly, my phone screen lit up on the dashboard. Matthew was calling. I stared at his name, my finger hovering over the answer button. A small, fragile part of me wanted to pick up. A weak, desperate part still hoping for something from him. An apology. A question asking if I was okay. A sign of genuine concern. But then I remembered his text this morning. I remembered the indifference in his eyes as I walked away. I remembered the erased photos, like I had never existed. The phone kept ringing. I let it go to voicemail. A moment later, a notification popped up, a new voicemail. I clenched my jaw, keeping my eyes on the road. But then, driven by some sick curiosity, I hit play through the car speakers. Matthew's voice filled the silence, low and tired. But there was no panic. No real concern. Mia, I didn't know Lily did that. I swear I didn't tell her to delete your pictures. A bitter laugh escaped my lips. You swear? I whispered hoarsely as if that made things better. As if that absolved him. I'll take care of this, okay? Lily's just confused. She's still adjusting to Amanda being back. I promise I'll talk to her. I stiffened. That word again, confused. Everything Lily had done to me, every word that cut like a knife, and every cold rejection, was just confusion. What about me? Did my pain not count? Were my feelings not worth acknowledging? Matthew's voice softened as if he was trying to soothe me. But every word only fueled the fire inside me. Don't be like this, Mia. Let's talk later. Just come home, and everything will be fine. A chill ran down my spine. Don't be like this? My grip tightened on the steering wheel, my breaths coming faster. I had spent 5 years trying to be accepted and part of this family. I had loved Lily as if she were my own. And now, when I was cast aside, replaced, erased like a smudge on a page, the only thing he had to say was, "Don't be like this?" Was I overreacting? Or had he never seen me as a fundamental part of this family? I pressed my lips together, deleted the voicemail, and switched off my phone. Matthew didn't understand. He never had. And now I no longer needed him to. I temporarily moved in with Rachel, trying not to think about the family I had lost, but it wasn't easy. Every morning, waking up in this unfamiliar space, I had to remind myself that I was no longer part of that family. Matthew kept calling. Morning, noon, night, his name would appear on my screen every few hours. At first, I stared at it, letting it ring until it stopped. But on the third day, when his name flashed across my phone again, I took a deep breath, entered my settings, and blocked his number. I didn't need to hear another excuse. A long, endless silence stretched on until 10 days later. That day, I was on my laptop, searching for jobs, when my phone suddenly rang. I glanced at the screen. Zoe. I blinked, surprised. Zoe, Matthew's younger sister. She had never been particularly close to me. We had always been polite, but she never took my side whenever there were conflicts with Chloe and Caleb. I hesitated for a few seconds before answering. Zoe? I spoke first, my voice cautious. Mia, are you okay? Her voice carried a trace of concern, but also hesitation. I frowned. Why was Zoe calling me after everything? Did Matthew say something to you? I asked bluntly, not in the mood for small talk. There was a brief pause. I could hear her breathing through the phone. Yes, she admitted finally. But I'm not calling about him. I'm calling about Amanda. I froze, my grip on the phone tightening. Amanda? I repeated as if making sure I had heard correctly. Do you think she came back for Lily? Zoe's voice dropped, more serious now. You need to look into her, Mia. Something isn't right. My brows knitted together. Amanda. The woman who had been absent from Lily's life for nearly 10 years. No phone calls. No letters. Not a single dime in support. Lily had to grow up without a mother. And I had always been there for her through every difficult moment. After ending the call with Zoe, I rushed to the table, flipped open my laptop, and my fingers flew across the keyboard. I typed into the search bar, Amanda Clark. Her Facebook profile popped up on my screen. I froze. The recent photos. Lily, beaming beside Amanda. Cozy family dinners. Matthew, smiling happily next to her. As if I had never existed. I swallowed hard and scrolled down to her latest post. A caption that made my brow furrow. It's amazing to be reunited with family. Exciting new opportunities ahead. New opportunities? I needed to find out what was going on. I couldn't just sit back and let Amanda use Lily as a pawn. I needed proof, something Matthew couldn't ignore. Without hesitation, I grabbed my phone and called Nick. Nick was an old friend, a finance expert with a knack for digging into shady businesses and uncovering transactions that most people would never notice. The phone rang twice before he picked up. Mia? Haven't heard from you in a while, especially at this hour. Nick, I need your help. A big one, I said quickly, trying to keep my voice steady. There's someone. I suspect she's hiding something. I need to know everything there is to find about her company. There was a brief silence, and then his voice turned serious. Send me the name and any basic info. I'll check it out. I wasted no time. I immediately sent him Amanda's full name, the startup name she had bragged about, and any details I could remember. Less than an hour later, Nick called back. Mia. His voice was lower now, cautious. You won't believe this. I gripped my phone tighter. Tell me, Amanda's startup? It doesn't exist. Legally, it was never registered. On paper, it's empty. A cold shiver ran down my spine. What do you mean? She made up a fake company? Not exactly fake. She creates a shell company, attracts investors, and then vanishes. Every past investor lost everything within months. Anything else? I pressed, my heartbeat quickening. Nick continued, she's never completed a single real estate project. It's all a scam. And listen, Mia. Amanda has changed her name at least twice in the past 5 years. Every time a company collapses, she disappears, then reemerges under a new identity with another scam. I went still. Amanda wasn't just a liar, she was a professional con artist. I clenched my fists, forcing myself to stay calm. Anger wouldn't solve this. I needed to tell Matthew. Now. I unblocked his number and called him. The phone rang. No answer. I called again. A second time. A third. Still nothing. A wave of unease tightened around my chest. I couldn't wait any longer. I grabbed my keys, rushed to my car, and sped straight home. 30 minutes later, I stood at the front door. I rang the bell, and moments later, Matthew opened it. And the moment the door swung open, I froze. The sight before me shattered something inside. Amanda was here. Lily sat close beside her, beaming like the past 10 years of pain had never existed. They looked warm and happy, like a perfect family. And me? I was nothing more than a ghost, standing outside a world I once belonged to. Matthew looked up, surprise flickering across his face when he saw me. But the moment passed. Quickly. Mia? What are you doing here? His voice was indifferent, like I was nothing more than an uninvited guest. I took a deep breath, forcing myself to stay calm. I need to talk to you. Alone. Matthew sighed. If this is about Amanda again, I'm not interested. Nothing is going on. She's just visiting her daughter. I clenched my fists, shoving down the anger rising in my chest. I turned and walked toward his office, my voice steady but firm. Just 5 minutes, Matthew. If you have even a shred of respect left for me, come inside. He hesitated, then reluctantly got up and followed me. In the office, I threw the stack of documents onto the desk. Read it. My voice didn't waver. It was firm. Cold. Matthew frowned, but picked up the papers, flipping through each page. I watched him, waiting for panic, anger, for anything that showed he understood what was happening. But nothing. When he finished reading, he leaned back in his chair, crossed his arms, and shrugged indifferently. So what? Everyone has a past. Amanda has changed. She's changed? A bitter laugh escaped my lips. Do you even hear yourself? She's not a victim, Matthew. She's a con artist. She's not back for Lily, she's back for money. Matthew shrugged again as if none of this mattered. Mia, you're overreacting. I stared at him, searching for even the slightest trace of guilt, regret, something to prove that I had once meant anything to him. But I saw nothing. Then, a voice cut through the air. Can you just get out of here? I froze. Lily stood at the doorway, her eyes colder than ever. We don't need you here anymore. The words sliced through me, sharp as a blade. I swallowed hard and turned to Matthew, waiting. Waiting for him to say something. Waiting for him to stand up for me. Waiting for anything. But he sighed and shook his head like I was nothing more than an inconvenience. Mia, stop making a scene. Making a scene. Something inside me shattered. I took a deep breath, forcing my voice to stay steady. Fine. I nodded, stepping back. Then to hell with both of you. Without another word, I turned and walked straight out the door. This time, I didn't look back. I walked to my car, my legs feeling weightless as if I were drifting. Hot and heavy tears rolled down my cheeks, but I didn't wipe them away. I wasn't crying out of heartbreak. I was crying out of regret. Regret for the 5 years I had given. 5 years of love, patience, and endless effort to join this family. I had believed that genuine love could overcome anything. They would eventually accept me if I were patient enough and kind enough. But no, I was nothing more than an outsider. A placeholder to fill the void until the person they truly wanted came back. I tightened my grip on the steering wheel, inhaling deeply. I didn't belong here anymore. I was leaving. 2 months passed. I buried myself in work, focused on myself, and tried to fill the void that my family had left behind. During the day, I kept busy, never letting my mind wander. At night, I learned to enjoy my own company. No more tense dinners, no more cold stares from Lily, no more awkward silences with Matthew. I was getting used to my new life, learning to let go. But then, one afternoon, my phone rang as I was deep in paperwork. Rachel. I raised an eyebrow. She rarely called me during work hours. Balancing the phone between my shoulder and ear, I answered, my eyes still fixed on the screen. What's up? I asked, my voice carrying a hint of exhaustion. Rachel sighed. You're not gonna believe who just showed up at my place. I paused, a vague unease creeping over me. Who? She hesitated for a moment, then spoke slowly. Matthew. For a few seconds, I went completely still. It felt like someone had yanked me back into a chapter of my life I had no desire to reread. I let out a dry laugh, one utterly devoid of humor. We're divorced. What the hell does he want from me now? Rachel was quiet for a beat before her voice dropped lower. He regrets it. I frowned. Regrets what? Not listening to you. Her words made me sit up straighter, pushing aside the documents in front of me. Curiosity prickled at the edges of my mind. Explain. Rachel took a deep breath before saying, Amanda took everything from him and Lily. My heart skipped a beat. What? Yeah, not just his savings. She sold the house too. I fell silent. A strange feeling ran through me. I had once considered that house mine. I had carefully placed every piece of furniture and hung up every photo. I had called it home. And now it was gone. For a moment, I was surprised. But then, a bitter laugh escaped my lips. When I left, they erased every trace of me. And now, they had been erased from that house. Was this justice? Was this karma? I didn't know. What does he want from me? My voice was unnervingly calm. Rachel hesitated before answering. He said, "Lily misses you." I stilled. And after everything, he regrets it. An old wound ripped open. I remembered Lily's icy stare that Christmas Eve. I remembered the cruelty in her voice. "You're not my mother. Can you get out of here?" I remembered the unbearable pain of those words. And now that everything had fallen apart, now that they had no one left, she missed me, but where was my second chance? Who missed me when I walked out that door? Who asked if I was okay? I blinked, pushing back the sting behind my eyes. I didn't know whether to feel satisfied or heartbroken. Are you satisfied that they finally realized my worth? Or are you heartbroken that people only appreciate you when you're gone? I let out a slow breath, tilting my head back against the chair and staring at the ceiling. They missed me, huh? Too bad. I had already learned to forget them. Almost a year has passed. I left the old city behind, the memories that once gave me pain and rejection. Now I have a new life, a new city, a new job, a home untouched by the ghosts of my past. No more tense dinners. No more suffocating silence between me and Lily. No more cold, indifferent stares from Matthew. Everything has changed. But sometimes I still dream of that Christmas Eve in restless sleep. I still hear Lily's cruel words echoing in my mind. "You're not my mother. Can you get out of here?" I still see Matthew's indifference as I walk away, feeling the icy loneliness that consumed me when I realized I had never truly belonged. I didn't return when they needed me. I didn't reach out when they lost everything. Some say I was heartless for not fighting until the end, for not helping them escape the consequences of their own choices. But others say I did the right thing, because staying for people who never wanted you only leads to breaking yourself. I fought. I loved. I was patient. And in the end, I was erased, as if I had never existed. So this time, I chose myself. And you? What do you think? Was I wrong to leave them behind, or was I right to walk away? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to hit subscribe so you don't miss my next story. Thank you for listening. See you next time.